Fifth grade into math lesson 6.4. Rewrite fractions with a common denominator. I can generate equivalent fractions for given fractions using a common denominator. Spark your learning. TV show host Ben and Isa are preparing small pieces of French toast from slices of bread. Ben cuts his slice into 2 equal sections. Isa cuts her slice into 3 equal sections. All the sections were supposed to be cut into same-sized pieces. Draw a visual model to show what Ben and Isa should do to correct the sizes of their sections of French toast. Okay, so Ben did 2 equal slices, right? So, so Ben did 2 equal slices. Isa did 3 equal slices. Okay, so first of all, Ben is going to be broken into how many pieces? 2, right? So he has 1/2 and another half, right? Isa broke hers into how many? 3. Okay, but technically they should have had the same size pieces, correct? Okay, so what would be a common denominator that they could have used? 6, right? So really, each one should have broken theirs into 6 size pieces, correct? Now understanding, this figure represents all the people who watch the morning show. What equivalent fractions can you write to represent the different ways people watch the morning show? Okay, so usually we try and find our least common multiple, right? Okay, so then when we go to get our answer, we don't have to simplify a whole lot, right? We can kind of just do it real quick. So what are the non-zero multiples of 2, 5, and 10? So what they mean is you're not starting with 0. So you are going to start with 2 though, right? So 2, what's next? 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, does that work? Okay. What's 5? So 5, 10, 15, 20. Okay. And then 25, let's go and do 5 for each one, right? And then what about 10? So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay, so what is a common multiple of 2, 5, and 10? So what's the first one we see that all 3 of them have? 10, right? So use the common multiple you found to write equivalent fractions. So we know all of them are going to have to be over 10, right? Okay, do I have to do anything to that last one? No, because this already has 10 in the denominator, right? So how do I get from 2 to 10? Times 5. What I do on the bottom, I also do on the top. So this one would be 1/2 is equivalent to 5/10, right? How do I get from 5 to 10 on the second one? Times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. So 2/5 equals 4/10. How can a common multiple and equivalent fraction? How can a common multiple and equivalent fractions help you add and subtract fractions? So how does it help when those are equivalent? Basically, you're getting the same size parts, right? Okay, and it makes it easier to add or subtract them when they are the same size parts, right? Okay, so by having the same size parts, it makes it easier add or subtract. Write a numerical expression using equivalent fractions that models all the way people who watch the morning show. Okay, so what are we going to add? We're going to add, right? So we need to go back up here to letter C, right? So 5/10 plus 4/10 plus 1/10, right? Okay, which that gets us what? 10/10, which also equals 1. And so over here, up here in our circle, it was one complete whole, right? Okay, or one complete circle. All right, step it out. Trina makes decorations using wire. She has one piece of wire that is 1/6 foot and another piece that is 3/4 foot. What equivalent fractions represent the amount of wire that Tina has? Okay, so she has the 1/6 foot, 3/4 foot, and they want to know equivalent fractions that represent the amount of wire she has. So find the product of denominators of each fraction. How is your answer related to the common multiples of 4 and 6? So they want us to say 4 times 6, right? Which is 24. Okay. And so 24 is it's a multiple of 4 and 6. Okay, and then a common denominator is the common multiple of 2 or more denominators. Any 2 or more fractions can be expressed as equivalent fractions with a common denominator. Okay, so letter B, what equivalent fractions with a common denominator can you write for 3/4 and 1/6? Okay, so technically if we use the 24, how did I get from 4 to 24? Times 6, so what I do on the bottom, I do on the top. So 3 times 6 is 18, and if I do this over 24, how do I get from 6 to 24? Times 4. So what I do on the bottom, I do on the top. Okay, so that would be one way we can do it. But is there a smaller common denominator that we could use? 12, right? Okay, so let's use it. So how did I get from 4 to 12? Times 3. So what I do on the bottom, I do on the top. So 3 times 3 is 9. How did I get from 6 to 12? Times 2. So what I do on the bottom, I do on the top. 1 times 2 is 2. Okay. So you could use either one of those, but you would have to simplify eventually, right? Okay, if you use the first one. What numerical expression using equivalent fractions model the amount of wire that Trina has? So can we use this one right here? Okay, so 9/12 plus 2/12, since it's already simplified, right? Or it's in our smallest terms that we could use right now. 9/12 plus 2/12 equals 11/12. Can that be simplified? No. So 11/12 of a foot, right? Okay. All right. So check understanding. David, Kate, and Jen bring all the food to a picnic. David brings 3/4, Kate brings 1/6, and Jen brings 1/12. Write a numerical expression using equivalent fractions with a common denominator to model the amounts of food they bring to the picnic. Okay, so Ava 3/4, Kate 1/6, and Jen 1/12, right? And then they want common denominators, correct? Okay, so yeah, 3/4 equals something, 1/6 equals something, and 1/12. So what is our least common multiple, guys? 12. So do I have to change the bottom one? No. So I'm going to write 1/12. Okay, so how did I get from 6 to 12? Times 2. What I do on the bottom, I do on the top. So 1/12 is also equal to 2. 1/6 is also equal to 2/12, right? Okay. The next one, how did I get from 4 to 12? Times 3. So I do on the bottom, I do on the top. So 3 times 3 is 9. So to add that all up, we would do 9/12 plus 2/12 plus 1/12. And if we did actually add that up, what would we get? 12/12 equals 1. So would all of these be covered then? Yes. Okay. Find a common denominator. Then use the common denominator to write equivalent fractions. So what is our least common multiple for 4 and 8? 8. Okay. So do we have to change both of those? No. Which one can we just keep? 1/8. So there's already one of our answers, correct? Okay, but I do need to change the 3/4. So 3/4 equals something over 8, right? How did I get from 4 to 8? Times 2. What I do on the bottom, I do on the top. So 3 times 2 is 6. So 1/8 and 6/8, right? Okay, 1/4 and 5/6. What is our least common multiple? 12. Okay. Now, could we use like 24 or something like that? You could, but we know so that the least common multiple works the best, right? Okay. So 1/4 equals something over 12. How did I get from 4 to 12? Times 3. What I do on the bottom, I do on the top. So 3/12 is one of them, right? 5/6. What's our common denominator? 12. How do I get from 6 to 12? Times 2. So what I do on the bottom, I do on the top. So 10/12. So 3/12 and 10/12. On your own, the morning show has a 1/2-hour weather section and a 1/2-hour news section. How can you determine the amount of time spent on weather and news without using drawings? So we need to do what? A common denominator. Okay, so we would need to find a common denominator. Okay, and then what would we do? Because if we have that common denominator, that gets us equal sized pieces, right? So what is our common denominator between those two? 10. So something over 10, right? So 5 to 10 times 2, right? I do on the bottom, I do on the top. So this would be 2/10. 1/2. How do I get from 2 to 10? Times 5. So what I do on one, I do on the top. So what would that get us? So 2/10 plus 5/10 equals 7/10. So it takes up 7/10 of an hour for the news and for the weather. Okay, so it says use a common denominator to write equivalent fractions. So basically, what would be our common denominator between 2 and 12? 12, right? So we don't have to change this one, right? Okay, so 1/2 equals something over 12. How did I get from 2 to 12? Times 6. So what I do on the bottom, I do on the top. So 6/12, right? 2/3, 1/6. What is my common denominator? The 6, right? So I don't have to change this one. 2/3 equals something over 6. How did I get from 3 to 6? Times 2. What I do on the bottom, I do on the